What if I told you that the Atlanta Falcons were just one signature away from completely transforming their secondary? That one phone call, one contract negotiation, one coaching relationship could have reshaped the entire trajectory of their 2024 season? Well, buckle up, because that's exactly what almost happened when the Falcons made a serious run at Pro Bowl cornerback Jaire Alexander. The near miss that could have changed everything. Picture this. It's mid-June, the NFL offseason is typically quiet. But behind closed doors, the Atlanta Falcons were orchestrating what could have been their most significant defensive acquisition in years. According to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, the Falcons weren't just casual observers in the Jaire Alexander sweepstakes. They were legitimate contenders, armed with something most teams couldn't offer: a genuine relationship. The connection? Jerry Gray, Atlanta's defensive backs coach who survived the coaching transition from Arthur Smith to Raheem Morris. Gray had worked with Alexander during his early development with the Green Bay Packers, and their bond was so strong that when Gray left Green Bay for Atlanta, Alexander admitted he almost shed a tear. That's not your typical player-coach relationship, that's family. The Alexander enigma. Talent meets turbulence. Let's be brutally honest about what the Falcons were potentially getting into. Jaire Alexander isn't just any cornerback. He's a former first-round pick out of Louisville who once commanded the largest contract in cornerback history. But here's where the story gets complicated and, frankly, a little messy. The numbers tell a tale of two careers. Early on, Alexander was everything you'd want in a shutdown corner. He barely missed time, was developing into an elite talent, and seemed destined for greatness. Then came 2021, and everything changed. For games played. That's it. Injuries started piling up, and what followed was a pattern that would make any general manager nervous. Over the past 2 seasons combined, Alexander has played just 14 games and recorded only 2 interceptions. Compare that to his early career trajectory, and you're looking at a player whose ceiling remains sky-high, but whose floor has become concerningly low. The injury concerns are real, but perhaps more troubling are the character questions that emerged in Green Bay. Remember the Carolina incident? Alexander decided to make himself captain for the coin toss in his hometown without permission. The Packers suspended him for it, sending a clear message about organizational standards. Was it a big deal? Maybe not. Was it indicative of a pattern that concerned Green Bay enough to eventually release him despite his talent? Absolutely. The Falcons' secondary situation, good enough or championship caliber? Here's where this story gets really interesting from Atlanta's perspective. The Falcons currently roll with A.J. Terrell, Mike Hughes, and D. Alford as their projected starting trio. Terrell is their lockdown guy, no questions asked. Hughes earned a 3-year contract extension, so clearly the organization believes in him. But Alford? That's where things get murky. Alford was a restricted free agent who tested the market and found exactly zero interest from other teams. The Falcons brought him back not out of love, but out of necessity. They had limited draft capital, expected to use most picks on pass rushers, and needed bodies at cornerback. That's not exactly a ringing endorsement for your starting nickel corner. The Alexander acquisition would have been chess, not checkers. Imagine this scenario. Alexander slides in at outside corner alongside Terrell, while Hughes, a more versatile and proven player, moves inside to nickel. Suddenly, you've got a secondary that can match up with anyone in the NFC South and beyond. The coaching connection that almost was Jerry Gray's influence in this near acquisition cannot be overstated. This wasn't just about X's and O's. This was about redemption, second chances, and the power of relationships in professional sports. Alexander needed a fresh start, a place where someone believed in him despite the recent struggles. Gray represented that opportunity. The tragedy is that both parties seem to want this union. Alexander saw a chance to reunite with a coach who helped develop his early success. The Falcons saw an opportunity to add elite talent to a position of need. Yet somehow it didn't happen, and Alexander ended up in Baltimore with the Ravens. What this reveals about Atlanta's ambitions, the fact that the Falcons were seriously pursuing Alexander, tells us everything about their 2024 expectations. This isn't a rebuilding team looking for cheap depth. This is an organization that believes it's one or two pieces away from legitimate contention. You don't chase expensive, potentially problematic talent unless you think you're close to something special. Raheem Morris and Terry Fontenot aren't just looking to add any cornerback. They want impact players who can elevate the entire defense. The Alexander pursuit shows they're willing to take calculated risks on high-upside players, even if those players come with question marks. The ripple effect of what didn't happen, now the Falcons must look elsewhere for secondary upgrades. Clark Phillips, their fourth-round pick from Utah, hasn't quite broken through yet. The recently signed Kobe Bryant, yes, that's actually his name, from Kansas brings collegiate accolades, but unproven NFL readiness. The question becomes, was this Alexander or bust for Atlanta's cornerback plans? Or are they still actively searching for that missing piece? Given their apparent willingness to pursue Alexander despite his baggage, you have to believe they're not done shopping. The Baltimore reality check Alexander ultimately chose Baltimore, reuniting with his old Louisville teammate Lamar Jackson. While some have made this connection seem significant, let's be real, Jackson probably wasn't calling Alexander begging him to come play defense for the Ravens. This was about opportunity, money, and comfort level, not college friendships. The Ravens got a potential steal if Alexander can stay healthy and focused. The Falcons got a lesson in how quickly NFL plans can change, and how even the best-laid strategies sometimes fall short. Looking forward, what's next for Atlanta? This near miss reveals both the Falcons' ambitions and their remaining needs. They're clearly not satisfied with their current secondary depth, and they're willing to make bold moves to improve it. The Alexander pursuit may have failed, but it signals that bigger moves could be coming. The coaching staff believes they're building something special, and they're not afraid to take risks to accelerate that timeline. Whether that's pursuing other available corners, making trades, or developing internal talent remains to be seen. What we know for certain is that the Atlanta Falcons aren't content with mediocrity. They see an opportunity in 2024, and they're willing to make the moves necessary to capitalize on it. The Jaire Alexander pursuit may have been unsuccessful, but it won't be their last swing for the fences. The bottom line, sometimes the moves that don't happen tell you as much about a team as the ones that do. The Falcons' pursuit of Jaire Alexander shows an organization ready to compete now, willing to take calculated risks, and unafraid to chase impact talent regardless of the complications involved. Did they dodge a bullet with Alexander's injury history and character concerns? Or did they miss out on the exact type of difference maker that could elevate their defense to championship level? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain, this won't be the last time we hear about the Falcons making aggressive moves to improve their roster. What do you think? Were the Falcons right to pursue Alexander despite the risks, or should they be looking elsewhere for secondary help? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and hit that like button if you want to see more inside scoops on what's really happening behind the scenes in Atlanta.